want to do is you want to get the word out to your peeps. So you've created a big email list, all these people that you have, all these email addresses you've collected, people you know, bloggers that you have been engaging with, and you want to go and email and contact these people. You want to give them some kind of incentive, and you want to do the usual things you do with email marketing. You want to track opens, unsubscribes, you want to track tweets, retweets, mentions, all of those types of things.
So now we get to where the rubber meets the road. You need to build a dashboard. You need to know how you're doing, whether or not you're making money, where you're at, where you need to be. So you look at the ways that people come in to get news about your app. So you've got Twitter, your marketing site, blog, and Facebook. On Twitter, you want to know how many retweets have you got, how many mentions, and using that URL shortener, how many people did you get to go from your tweet to a marketing site. And you want to start tracking that and looking at that on a regular basis. The same thing with Facebook. You want to know how many people liked you and how many people clicked through right to the App Store and bought your app. Same thing with your blog. You know, are people going from your blog to the marketing site? And how many people are signing up for email, where you're going to give them a newsletter about stuff. Then, I mean, obviously you want to track how many downloads that there are. Downloads are your lifeblood, because usually they're paying on the download. That's the premise of our talk. That's not always true. But I didn't want to make it like hyper complicated with every possibility. We can get into that later. How the AdWorks are driving downloads. And then you want to look at your customer acquisition cost. How much does it cost? One of the problems with people, they're used to thinking in business, well, they have like revenues, they have expenses, and they have profits. You need to look at that on the individual app level, and you should look at it in the aggregate when you're a business, but if you don't look at it on the individual app level, you will be confused and you'll probably be doing the wrong thing. So always go down to the customer level and look at it. So you're putting an app out there, how much does it cost for you to market it? That's your customer acquisition cost. And what's your profit per download? Your revenue per download. Now obviously you want to know your profit and expenses, revenue, but you want to look at that on the per download basis, because sometimes it's easy, because of the way that this works out, to believe that you're making money when you're not, and when you look at it on the individual basis, you realize that you're not, or that your margins are paper thin. So it's really important to have a dashboard as you go that you look at to see how you're doing. And then when you make changes, then you see how that makes changes in the dashboard. So if you're making changes to your ad networks, you can see whether your downloads are greater or your profits greater or less.
By the way, Todd loves dashboards. Since we started working together, I've come to love it too, because it makes my decision making at my company a lot easier. And Todd is awesome at creating dashboards, I have to say.
Thank you. All right, and you want to go out and look at your reviews. What are people saying about you? This is really important. Go up there, read your reviews, read what they have to say. This guy, he's not doing really well. And what it is that he made an app that, you know when you have an iPad, and if you've ever had one or seen one that gets smudged up, well, you download this app and it cleans the smudges off. And people aren't really happy with it. Could you believe that I went looking for reviews just to show you guys something that happened onto this? I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen. But there's actually, what is this? There's 69 people foolish enough to download this app. Yeah, it's amazing. But the point is, you need to go out and check your apps and read that. And if somebody's just, being mean or something like that, you can report a concern. Knowing about your reviews comes in really important, because later on we're going to tell you something you can do about your bad reviews.
What's the name of that app?
Pardon?
What's the name of that app?
I am sorry.
What's the name of the app?
What's the name of this app?
Oh.
All right, no worries.
I forgot. But you know what? Send me an email and I'll send you one back. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
I'll find it.
But it was, if you notice, I left off for the most part, except for that thing about, having someone in your life or something, whatever that first thing was. I left the names of the apps off because I don't want to advertise for people.
I think this is fun.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It just shows you that, you know, I mean, maybe that P.T. Barnum thing that there's a sucker born every minute. I mean, it's...
10 people actually gave it 5 stars. So.
Well, maybe they gave it 5 stars because it's really hilarious that people would download this thing.
So post-launch, obviously at this point it's all about data. You want to start looking at all the data that you set up. You want to, for example, start gathering feedback from things like get satisfaction or idea scale. You can hook this up from within your app or on your website and your blogs. Does everyone know what get satisfaction and idea scale are? Okay, so get satisfaction is an online community for products and brands. It's used heavily for sharing ideas, asking questions, how-tos, reporting problems, rating review, and giving praise. So a lot of people hook this up as a customer service app. Actually, Get Satisfaction will do it for you anyway. Someone can create something, so you're better off kind of getting ahead of that rather than waiting for someone else to do that. You want to actively engage there. Idea Scale lets you collect ideas from your customers and gives them a platform to vote, so it's more specialized in that way. Both of these are very good things that you can use to get feedback in the app, on Facebook or on your website, or directly on the sites as well.
Okay, we want to drive engagement. I'm not going to go like super deep here, but it's really, really critical. This is something called cohort analysis. It's another one of my favorite things in the world. But generally, this is talking about user engagement. So we'll give you I'm not going to go deep in the cohort analysis, but I'll give you a few things. You want to find out frequency of usage. How often does someone use your app? This is why you built the analytics in it way back then, because it's really important to know that. Later on, you're going to want to drive more sales of either other products or version 2 or the HD version or whatever you have. So you're going to want to see how many times does somebody actually use your app. This frequency. You want to do duration. How long do they use it for? That's really important. Also, if you're building apps, like say like you're in a business and you're building apps to extend your business into the mobile space, engagement metrics are really important because you want to know if your users are actually really doing this stuff. Because just because they download it doesn't mean that anybody used it or even looked at it. So you want to look at those two things. And then you also want to look at, do people perform key tasks? And I'll give you an example. Let's pretend, I'm trying to think of something that we all know, Flickr. Well, a key task for Flickr would be to upload photos. So you would know, you would set your analytics so that you know if somebody actually does that. And then another task after they've uploaded photos would be to tag them. So again, you would know if anybody ever did that. And then finally, like another one might be that they share them. That they share those photos with other people, so you would know if anybody did that. If they didn't, you might want to build things into the application that would, because you know that those are behaviors of good users, that would drive people towards that behavior. So that would say, hey Sally, how would you like to upload some photos? Something like that. Something that would give me a cue. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to cue them into using your application more. And that's really critical in business apps, but as you'll find out, all the game guys do this stuff. They all try to get you to keep doing this. So engagement metrics are really important. If you want to talk a lot about this is like one of my favorite things. We can talk for hours about cohort analysis and stuff like that. I just didn't want to bore everybody else who doesn't like to talk about this as much as I do.